Good evening. Good
Rabbi
evening.
Yossi.
Yeah. Hi, Rabbi.
Good evening. Salim, I said over this morning what you read last night from Chacham Ovadia that if you're in the shower without the toilet,
Without a toilet and without a kippah. Obviously, without a kippah, you're in the shower, right? But
well, I checked later. Kulam,
what did they say? What did they say this morning? I was
you realize that everyone is surprised to hear it.
surprised. I know.
But the point is, if you dissect the case, you understand what he's saying. Yes.
Right.
See, but here is the question. If you wake up in the morning, let's say it's early, you're not getting, can you listen to a tape of Torah without saying Birkat Torah or not? אתה מבין?
That's what I brought it up yesterday because I remembered like this class because of this exact case we are talking about yesterday.
Right, right.
See a bracha.
So באמת, many poskim say, including Chacham Ovadia and his son, since we have a rule of Shomea Keoneh, so if I make Kiddush for you, it's as if you made it. So if I hear you giving a class and you are Shomea, he's Keoneh. So they say you'll have to say Birkat Torah. See, Salim, this is the Chidush now. Even though it's really Divrei Torah Mamash, it Mechayev Baracha,
Right.
nevertheless,
So then
since
they
you are
bring that exact point that no, I read yesterday is that you would think that Shemar Kaoneh, that's why I can't do it in the bathroom, and other poskim bring that proof, but
right.
Rav Avadia holds otherwise. I have to go back and look at the note, but they
But
mentioned that exact note.
remember, this is accumulated knowledge from previous years, and
Right.
the raya for all that is that even when Chachamim made the Isur to study, if a man is a Baal Kerel, he didn't go to the mikveh, but Me'arher is mutar, yes?
Yep.
So you see clearly that
Okay.
the Shulchan Aruch says, שמע, זה מאוד מעניין. הכותב בדברי תורה, you get up in the morning and you write דברי תורה. This is סימן מ"ז סעיף ג', הכותב בדברי תורה צריך, אף על פי שאינו קורא, צריך לברך. Now, if you think about it, it's a difficult halacha. If Maran says in the following סעיף, המהרהר בדברי תורה אינו צריך לברך, right? If you only think, לא צריך לברך.
Yeah,
Remember,
but
not שומע כעונה. שומע כעונה is I listen to a shiur. I'm reviewing in my head a דף היומי I learned today. Says מרן לא צריך לברך. So why
yeah.
is כותב different?
It's ketiva is an
I'm not,
action.
I'm not,
No?
I'm not, I'm not speaking out.
Right, but it's an action. It's the same thing as when Hashem commanded Moshe to write the luchot, write them down, or write the Sefer Torah. These are all actions that have to do with Torah, no?
When Rabbi Akiva Eger speaks about what happened, I already counted tonight. What happened if someone who's writing tonight, היום, 41 יום לעומר, שהם
Without
5
saying,
שבועות, is he יוצא ידי ספירה or not?
I think he probably says no, but according to this logic, he should
בשבות
say yes.
יעקב, בשבות יעקב wants to bring a ראיה from here.
Right.
If you see in Maran that כתיבה is כדיבור, because you see that הרהור is דווקא דיבור, yes? הרהור is דווקא דיבור, אז כתיבה is כדיבור, perhaps, you're יוצא, but למעשה they say a very nice סברה. See, the Torah, when the Torah talks about the mitzvah of learning Torah, the Torah says, "V'livadetem otam et benechem." I cannot teach you by me thinking about the Torah. I can teach you by speaking to you. I can teach you also by writing. You can learn from what I wrote. So this is one of the differences between Hirhur and Ketiva. If the form of learning that the Torah is referring to is by teaching others, is it Torah that can be taught to others? Ketiva, yes. But Hirhur, you cannot. The Acharonim suggest that if someone is writing, he should speak out few words. If he wants to say Birkat Torah, as Maran says. עכשיו תשמע דבר מאוד מעניין. The Gra of Vilna, this is a famous case that he disagrees with the Mechaber. He says that a me'arher b'divrei Torah has to say Birkat Torah, which means if I wake up in the morning early, I'm still in bed. Let's say I washed and I'm thinking Divrei Torah. Why? He says, if you are thinking on Divrei Torah, you also Mekayem Mitzvat Limud Torah. Why shouldn't you make a baracha?
You can fulfill the mitzvah without, but that's why they said to say Shema. You have to say Shema.
No, you're right. But this svara of the Gra brings us into a very big discussion. Is Birkat Torah like a regular Birkat HaMitzvot? Or it's Birkat Shevach? See, the Gra, obviously, from the fact that he says that if you are me'arher b'divrei Torah, you have to make a baracha. Why? Because you have the mitzvah of learning. It says, "V'hagita bo yomam v'layla." Hagita doesn't mean speak out. Hagita in your mind. But the Maran that says me'arher lo tzarich, perhaps, goes with the opinion that the pesukim that we are learning, yes, even if you have the mitzvah there, but the psukim that we're learning, the obligation to say bracha is, Ki Shem Hashem ekra havu godel Elokenu. The Ramban, Rabbeinu Moshe ben Nachman, in Sefer HaMitzvot says that Birkat HaTorah is Ma'atorah. And the way he is defining the mitzvah is by saying that this is Birkat Shevach. You have to thank Hashem for giving us the Torah. Torah is teaching us what to do. The Torah is giving us koach, kedusha, inspiration. If it's Birkat Shevach, then you understand. We spoke yesterday, Salim, why ladies, Maran says ladies have to say Birkat Torah. The opinion of Maran is like the Rambam. On Sukkah, a woman cannot make a bracha, neither on Lulav. Why is she making a bracha? If you learn that this is Birkat Shevach, then you understand why a woman can do it.
Even if it's not, she still has to learn the Torah that shayach to her.
But this is what we read. What you're saying is correct. This is what we read yesterday from Beit Yosef.
Right.
But תראי, יש פה, זה לא פשוט. למה לא פשוט?
Because she's learning for Aseh, she's not learning for the sake of learning, but still it's still learning.
When me and you are learning, מסכת פרה, משניות טהרות, או זבחים, או חולין, we have a mitzvat Talmud Torah, correct? A woman is not obligated to learn. The Gemara says, ולימדתם אותם את בניכם ולא בנותיכם. She has to learn because she must know. אתה מבין? So Beit HaLevi says, even though the Beit Yosef, of course, is right by saying she has to learn to know, but this is not because of mitzvah Talmud Torah. It's not so simple why she should make a baracha on it. If you learn is Birkat Shevach, then you understand perfectly. It's Meshabeach Hashem for giving us the Torah. See, because one of the big questions is, where do you find a mitzvah that you have two berachot? אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה, then אשר בחר בנו. למה שתי ברכות?
One of them has to be a shevach, then, yeah.
So yes, if you learn like the Ramban, it's perfect. See, אשר בחר בנו, Salim doesn't have אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו. ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים. It's definitely ברכת שבח. Definitely ברכת שבח. So if you learn that the main Birkat Torah is Birkat Shevach, you understand why ladies are Chayav. Let's say a rabbi comes to the shul in the morning, Ezra, before he has a chance to say Birkat Torah, someone is approaching the rabbi with a halachic question. And the rabbi just has to give him yes, no, or say a sentence. Should the rabbi tell him, can you please wait 2 minutes? Let me say Birkat Torah, because I'm not allowed to learn without Birkat Torah, or so Rama says, הוא הדין דיכול לפסוק דין ולא נתינת טעם. Says why? If Maran said that if you are מהרהר בדברי Torah, you are patur, when the rabbi tells him yes, no, repeat, the reason the rabbi has in his head, but what he's telling him is yes, no, or repeat, or don't repeat, it says this doesn't count. This doesn't count as divrei Torah. One of the interesting differences between Sephardic text is אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה. אשכנזים say לעסוק בדברי תורה. How would you understand? Is there a difference between לעסוק or על דברי תורה?
Yeah, asok is it's more like an action that you have to do to delve into the Torah. Al divrei Torah is more like almost like hirur, like I can hear it. I don't have to actually say anything.
See, we spoke. If you open a second, and you'll see that in the previous siman, Maran says, what happened if Chodesh Elul, you're saying Selichot, yes? Remember, we mentioned last night, Pismonim, the Selichot, you have many Pesukim. Remember, you're saying it as Selichot or Pismonim. You have to say Birkat Torah on it or not. Maran brings two opinions on it. Maran himself is leaning, he says, I think you should. Rama says, no, you don't have to. Well, what's the machloket? Maran is saying, after all, you are saying Torah. I mean, let's say someone wakes up in the morning, Ezra wakes up in the morning, he wants to say half an hour Tehillim. Does he have to say Birkat Torah first or not? Same question. Tehillim by nature is Torah. But I'm not saying it as a Torah, I'm using it as berachot, correct? Maran says, you have to say. So you understand perfectly, Salim, the text, al divrei Torah, whatever is divrei Torah, I have to say bracha. But if you say la'asok, as Salim a minute ago used the word to delve into it, yes? To delve into it, it means your head has to be into it. You have to understand what you're saying, yes? Someone reads the Zohar, yes?
So Rabbi, what do we do when we stay up all night? Like Shavuot coming, we stay up all night.
But the custom of most people is that when the day begins, you ask someone to be motziyu. This way you have no problem. If there's no one there, then you can say to yourself, oh, the best is if you count. When you say Ahavat Olam in the morning, always it counts as Birkat Torah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've never seen where we appoint somebody to say it for us.
In every Ashkenazic shul, every means every Ashkenazic shul. I'm not talking Young Israel. I'm talking about places where 200 people stay up all night. In the morning, someone comes and he's motzi a Birkat Torah, everyone.
I've never seen it in our shuls, Rabbi.
No, so the reason is what I told you before, that the Sfaradim rely on this opinion that says that every day is a new beracha, Ezra, yes?
Yes.
Let's say you stayed up all night. Why did you say Baruch Atah Hashem Pokeach Shevrim Malbish Harumim? You said it yesterday. You never went to sleep. The answer is every day you have an obligation to thank Hashem for Pokeach Shevrim Malbish Harumim, right? So is Birkat Torah. You understand in Rambam, you rely, Sfaradim rely on the way it seems from Rambam, and what seems from the Rambam is that it's an obligation day by day. That the minute the night is over, also as if you take a nap during the day, says Rabbi Akiva Eger, everyone agrees that the next morning you can say a beracha. Why? Are you aware that some people say if you take a real nap during the day, let's say an hour, you have to say Birkat Torah when you get up. Maran brings to opinion and he says, Misafek, don't make a bracha, but I'll read it to you a minute,
That applies to me, Rabbi. I always take a nap.
Don't worry, Ezra. We are in a good group, Ezra.
Yeah, we call it a power nap.
Yeah.
Joel Wolowoski taught me how to take a power nap.
Emet. Listen. Shulchan Aruch says, Sheinat keva bayom al mitato have hefsek. According to Maran, if you take a power nap, more than half an hour, you have to say Birkat Torah, opinion one. ויש אומרים, שלא הווה הפסק. Some say no. Says Maran, וכן נהגו. So Maran tells you that if you take a power nap during the day, even though some say no, don't have to. Let's say Shabbat, every Shabbat, most of the Shabbatot, I take a power nap. Ezra, by Mincha, by Kriyat HaTorah, I have in mind to be Yotze when someone gets Kohen or Levi. So he says Hashem Bachar Banu, I have a kavanah to be Yotze. Why? Maran does bring two opinions. Okay, the Maaseh, even if you're not making a bracha, it's fine. If I can be Yotze with the bracha of someone. Now listen to something interesting. Ezra, what do you think? Someone wakes up in the morning and learns Kabbalah. Or let's say he learned Agadah, only Agadah taught. Kaf HaChaim says definitely yes. He says it's also Torah. Kabbalah is definitely Torah. But the Aruch HaShulchan is mistapek. Why is he mistapek? Because all the examples of the Gemara of Midrash, Chumash, Gemara, Mishnayot. This is Torah that explains the Pesukim. So this is still included in Torah. So the Aruch HaShulchan is mistapek, but the Kaf HaChaim says definitely yes. Let's say, Ezra, you come early in the morning. Let's say if you're a Kohen, it's more common. You're coming to Shul, and they call you up right away to the Torah, yes? Okay, so you get an aliyah, what do you say, Asher Bachar Banu, and Asher Natan Lanu. After the aliyah, do you still have to say the bracha al divrei Torah or not?
No, why would we have to say it again?
Good. תחשוב טוב, תראה, זה לא פשוט. למה לא פשוט? You have an obligation, you have an obligation to say ברכת Torah every day. What did you say when you got the aliyah? אשר בחר בנו מכל העמים, then אשר נתן לנו תורתו, תורת אמת. Fine. But you didn't say אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה.
Yeah, but the other, it's like almost like the way that Ahavat Olam or fulfills your mitzvah of saying the brachot here too. It's the same thing. You're doing it for reading the Torah, which is itself the mitzvah. So it's the mitzvah to learn Torah is reading the Torah. So why would you have to say it again? Because you don't say Aseh Kedishanu, is that what you're saying?
Right. אשר קידשנו מצוותיו וציוונו.
No, you only say that if you didn't fulfill it, but you already fulfilled the.
Yeah, I'll read you the Shulchan Aruch, just a minute.
I agree, Salim.
No, I'm trying to see the point why you would have to repeat it. That's the part I don't understand.
Salim wants to know why. This is what Salim.
Yeah.
Well, your kavanah is different, isn't it? One's a kavanah for continual learning, one's a kavanah just for the reading, for the biyotzev, for the kehillah. Why do you say it twice if that's the case? Why if you said it in the morning and you go up to the Torah, you shouldn't say it?
So that's a good question. That's another question. Why are we re-saying the bracha when we go up to the Torah? In reality, I think the halacha is, or not the halacha, the Gemara says it, only the first person that goes up says the bracha before he reads, and the last person. But because
this used to be
like that.
Later, Salim, they changed it.
They changed it because people walk in and out and they don't know who's saying the bracha, who said what, so they changed it. But why do you have to repeat that in the first place is a very good question too. I don't know. You already said it in the morning. Why do I have to repeat it?
Everyone, of course, is asking this question. And the answer is that Kriyat Torah b'tzibur, says the Rashba, is a new chiyuv de Rabbanan, that collectively we are reading, we are emulating Matan Torah, yes? This is why the brachot are different brachot. Mm-hmm. I'm reading you the Shulchan Aruch. Here. Yes, I'm reading you Ilchot Kriyat Torah, okay? I'm reading the Shulchan Aruch, Kuf Lamed Tet Seif Chet. Listen carefully. אפילו בירך ברכת התורה סלים לעצמו, ותכף כראו לקרות בתורה, צריך לחזור ולברך אשר בחר בנו. סלים wants to know why. ומשום כבוד התורה נתקנה כשקורא בציבור. You have a private obligation to learn, to thank. This is from Tshuvot HaRashba. The Rashba says somebody, by the way.
Stop for that. There's one question.
Yeah.
When was the last time you were in Israel filling out this visa? And did you ever fill out this visa? Because I know I did, but I don't think you did, right? The ETA. When were you last in Israel?
About 2.5 weeks.
2024, you think?
You hear the Shulchan Aruch says, I'm reading you from the Shulchan Aruch, but the Bet Yosef brings Shuvot HaRashba, and he says it's a chiyuv de Rabbanan But some of the Acharonim want to say that this Kriya B'Tzibur is the Deoraita. Kriya B'Yachid may be the Rabbanan. But listen next now. אם כראו לקרות בתורה קודם שיברך ברכת התורה לעצמו, מרן says כבר נפטר מלברך ברכת אשר בחר בנו. See how מרן is מדוקדק, סלים? כבר נפטר מלברך אשר בחר בנו. He didn't tell you that you פטור from על דברי תורה. This is קל"ט, סעיף ט'. כבר נפטר מלברך ברכת אשר בחר בנו, דלא גרע ממי שנפטר באהבה רבה. If you say אהבה רבה in the morning, before you said ברכת, here. וכתבו האחרונים, ומכל מקום לא דמי לגמרי, והטעם יצא בזה גם על דברי תורה. But here you have to say, על דברי תורה. Let's see what they say here. See, the best that the Acharonim say, if they call you before you said Birkat Torah, the best is, as they call you, try to say Al Divrei Torah ve'arevna, and then when you get the Aliyah, then you say the Asher Bachar Banu. But you see, Maran is medukdak very much. He says, Kvar niftar ve'asher Bachar Banu. I'm sure you know that there is a big machloket in the Rishonim, and interestingly here, the Maran is not following the Rambam. In the morning when you say Birkat Torah, is it 2 berachot or 3?
3.
Nishanu v'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al divrei Torah.
Torah.
Then you say, הערב להשם אלוקינו, ברוך אתה השם המלמד תורה לעמו ישראל. You conclude with ברוך. Then אשר בחר בנו. Believe it or not, the Rambam says it's 3 separate berachot. And according to the Rambam, after you said al divrei Torah, you don't say v'ha'arev with a vav. We say v'ha'arev because we look on it as a 2 berachot. אשר קדישנו במצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה, and והערב, so והערב is the second half of the first one. Rambam's opinion, no, it's 3 berachot. Therefore the Rambam doesn't say והערב, but he says הערב. Look at Maran, אומר והערב, עם vav. This is exactly.
I think it says Chacham Ovadia says to say the first 2, not the last one, because Safek Berachot La'akil, if that happens to you.
You mean if you got Aliyah?
Right.
You hear what he says? No, but right. No, because Asher Bachar Banu, you said already.
Right.
You hear what he says? Jeffrey, this is based on the language of Maran. Listen to the language of Maran. אפילו בירך ברכת התורה לעצמו. לא, אם קראו לקרות בתורה קודם שיברך, כבר נפטר מלברך ברכת אשר בחר בנו. Here, this is it. Maran says not to say אשר בחר בנו, but the other 2 are על דברי תורה. So remember, this is a famous, is it 2 or 3 berachot? עכשיו תראו, יש פה דבר מאוד מעניין. Again, let's say you started to pray in the morning, you catch yourself, I didn't say Birkat HaTorah, so listen to Maran. ברכת אהבת עולם פותרת ברכת התורה. This makes a lot of sense. Fine. This is the Gemara. You can argue the Gemara. But Maran is adding, Im lamad miyad v'liyefsek. You hear? If you did not say your own Birkat Torah, but you said Shema, before Shema you say Ahavat Olam. The Ahavat Olam for us counts as Birkat Torah. Why? Because the content of Ahavat Olam is the same as Birkat Torah. Very nice. But then Maran says, Im lamad miyad v'liyefsek. Why? Why do I have to learn right after Amidah? Yes? I just said Shema. No, Shema is definitely Divrei Torah. So all the Acharonim have a problem with that, you understand? Again, Maran says, you count on Ahavat Olam for Birkat Torah. You yotze. As long as after Amidah you said some Divrei Torah. Everyone wonders why you have to say anything. I'm saying Shema. Shema ואהבת והיה עם שמוע ויאמר. זו שאלה רצינית מאוד. So they say, but it has to do with what we spoke already a few times. I'm saying Shema for the sake of mitzvah Shema, not for the sake of Divrei Torah. You understand? Of course, Shema is Torah. In Parashat Vayetchanan v'haya im shamua in Akev. But when I say it, yes, I'll read you the language here. בברכת אהבת עולם, says the ראש, כיוון דנתקן העיקר לקריאת שמע לא מתחזה. It doesn't look like that this is ברכת Torah, unless you learn something, yes? זה חידושים נפלאים, yes? Because אין לך דברי תורה bigger than שמע, but why am I saying it? I'm saying it because of the mitzvah Shema, yes? I told you once that Chacham Ovadia writes in the Teshuvah, and his son brings it, that in Israel, Chacham Ovadia converted someone, a real girl, you know, a real Jew. He comes out from the mikveh, he's a Jew now. He tells to Chacham Ovadia, who supervised the conversion, you need 3 rabbis standing there, and he says to him, Rabbi, so which mitzvah should I do now? See, the guy was serious. He's a Jew now. So Chacham Ovadia told him to say Birkat Torah. See, imagine how this convert said for the first time, שבחר בנו מכל העמים ונתן לנו את תורתו. Now he can say it. בחר בנו מכל העמים, you are part of the Jewish nation, ונתן לנו את תורתו. Now, of course, we assume now that if it happened in the morning, of course, he would tell him to say Shema or to put the tefillin right away, obviously, or to go pray. Apparently, it was in the afternoon or noontime. Now comes, there is a very, if you remember before, we mentioned the 2 opinions. If Birkat Torah is Birkat HaMitzvot, as we say, אשר קידשנו ומצוותיו וציוונו על דברי תורה, or it's Birkat Shevach, as the Ramban says. The Ma'ilaf Kamina. If I make a bracha lehaniach tefillin, is Birkat HaMitzvot, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehaniach. If I speak before I tighten my tefillin, I have to say the bracha again. So if Birkat Torah is Birkat Mitzvot, the mitzvah of learning Torah, so right after you said Baruch Atah Hashem Notel HaTorah, you have to say Yevarechecha Hashem V'Yishmerecha, or you can say any halacha you want, but you have to do a maaseh, like putting the tefillin, say Torah. If you learn is Birkat Shevach, only Birkat Shevach, you don't have to do anything. Don't have to do anything. Here, so Shulchan Aruch says, Yesh Omrim, he says, שאם הפסיק בין ברכת התורה ללימודו, אין בכך כלום. אין בכך כלום, you don't have to say. But, הנכון, he prefers, based on the Rambam, שלא להפסיק ביניהם, and this is why we say יברכך. So again, first it says, even if you didn't learn after Birkat HaTorah, obviously he takes the opinion, this is more Birkat Shevach, but it's a big machloket. So he says, Menachon, the best is if you learn right away something after Birkat HaTorah. See what happened if you did talk to your friend after Birkat HaTorah. You forgot that you have to say a few psukim of Divrei Torah. Then the Mishnah Bora is suggesting, have in mind to be Yotze again in Birkat Ahavat Olam. Again, even though Maran says, in the language of Maran is, אם הפסיק בין ברכת התורה ללימודו אין בכך כלום. הנכון שלא להפסיק. I suggest not to מפסיק, not to be מפסיק, but to learn something. Or, if you did not, have in mind to be יוצא in ברכת אהבת עולם. So Bezrat Hashem, tomorrow we'll continue again. Have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tov.
Thank you, everybody.
Zabaruch.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Thank you very much.